You can use my phone rather if you want. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to SCubeTV. We have a special guest from Florida. So he's running for state senate in from Florida near the Tallahassee area, Mr. Benjamin Horbowy. Thank you very much for coming to the show. Welcome to the show, Mr. Benjamin. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm so excited to be able to share these positive messages with the world today.
Very nice. So we will be waiting for that. And can you tell us before we go to the message? Can we talk about your career a little bit? I mean, what were you doing before getting into the politics, please?
Well, first off, let me introduce what district I'm running. It's North Florida, the largest district that's never ever been Republican. And it was hit with the worst storm of Florida's history, Hurricane Michael. So before that, I've had a rather impressive career for me being my age of only 37. I was a U.S. veteran, a meteorological crew member. I was a civilian pilot. Um, I was a banker. I did one of the second largest company in the world when I was 24 to 28 years old. That was a definite, a significant experience in my life. And then I went into marketing and media. I worked for the state in the directors of Florida Wildlife Conservation. I have many published articles for nature and wildlife conservation in Florida. And this was during a time when we had one of the worst oil spills in Florida's history. Um, then I continued back with further education and some independent studies at FSU. I came back and I started working with entrepreneurs, and I actually won Florida State's first 3-day startup for entrepreneurial work in 2013. And ever since then, I've kind of worked in the consultant life. I went down in Tampa and worked in the multifamily industry, which was major construction. And I got to know major construction projects pretty well, which helped because pretty much at the end of that career is when the hurricane hit. And 2018, 2019, and 2020, I've been very, very active in the political process, working for several other campaigns. And what got me to decide to run, one was seeing all the red tape that was hindering the Florida's recovery. We don't have the capacity as a government, and we don't have the capacity as local ministries. We need something much greater. So I saw the red tape. I also read that Donald Trump tweeted about my city one time, and he only tweeted about this city one time ever, just to say that this is the worst, most corrupt city in the United States. And I have evidence of this, firsthand experience. Right before I decided to run for office, I went to a city retreat with noble intentions. It says open invitation for free lunch and to meet your leadership. So I went there and I heard a bunch of people protest and advocate, and I heard a bunch of loud noises and screaming and emotionalism. So I went up there and I said, listen, this is a retreat. I'm going to do a prayer. And I did the Serenity Prayer, which is the least controversial prayer of all time. And then I said an acronym. I said, where I come from in Leon County, we love everybody. This is not a blue team versus a red team. But where I come from in Leon County, LGBT stands for Liberty, Guns, Bibles, and Trump. And that was a highly controversial subject in this county because the number one and number two employer is government and government schools on the state and local level. This is about a 3/4 Democrat district, and even the Republicans are what we call rhinos, Republican in name only. We have Republicans like Rick Wilson, who's funded the Lincoln Project of $12 million negative campaigning towards the Republicans. We even have the Republican leadership in Tallahassee that we found out recently since 2014 that they've been funded with over 87 Democratic committees. So when Donald Trump said that Tallahassee is the worst, most unethical city in the states, I'm not sure he was only talking about city and county leadership. He was talking about how crony Florida's executive legislations are, how crony our lobbyists are, how embedded the Masonic fraternities have been, and how the Republican Party and the Democrat Party in Florida have become two-headed snake of the same serpent. And although I'm pro-Republican, I'm pro-Constitution, and I support our president, I fear for the well-being of our nation because of the cancer of liberalism we have in Florida.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for the service to the country from your side, and you've been working in multiple areas. So you also briefly mentioned about, the issues which has forced you to get into politics. So what is the strong? When did you start? Work. Running for the office. Was it this elections or previous elections, or when was the first time? What was the major push? Yeah.
My first real political job that was paid for was for Senator Jeff Brandes down in St. Pete, and that was to help flip a blue district to red, and we got that. And that introduced me to Bob White, who was running for governor, and we had 8 Republican governor candidates, and one of them, the leader, was not Ron DeSantis. So I was employed by the guy in third place, Bob White. He was the Constitutional Republic with the Republican Liberty Caucus. And my job was to pull away market share, voter share from the establishment, Adam Putnam. And we did so. And that allowed Ron DeSantis to win. You're welcome, Florida, because if Putnam would have won the Republican nominee, Andrew Gillum would be Florida's governor right now. So then after that, I went and did some jobs in Texas. I did some jobs in North Carolina for Dan Bishop. He's the single bathroom bill guy. I helped him get in the office. And I did my homework down in Tallahassee. Now I have 11 counties in North Florida for Florida Senate District 3. And it wasn't like, hey, here's an opportunity and there's no Republican. I'm going to stick my ego in it and win and everybody will know me. That was not my agenda. My agenda was, here's opportunity. I did the math. Everybody always focuses on one of the counties is because it's mainly populated by Tallahassee, and then there's a bunch of counties that are just country with low population. So everyone focuses on the city, which is liberal. I say, hey, if we focus on the counties and we get out and reach and we do the numbers and we have the record-breaking turnout and we support our president and we say, tell people and educate people that they're trying to steal the election and they're undermining our party and we do the work, we could win this. So I made this sociological report. My education background is social psychology and communication with mass groups. So I put out a sociological report. I put out the strategy, and I had lunch and coffee with about 12 people in Tallahassee who were much more qualified than I, much more known, and most importantly, utterly, and I hate to say it, but they were wealthy. So they had the funds to do it. And I said, you can win with your name, leverage your reputation, and with your money and my strategy and my work, we can make you win. This place was so negative to that concept that even Brian Deloge, the county commissioner, went to the paper, and he's so-called a Republican. He went to the paper and said that this district is pretty much impossible for any Republican to win, and he's sitting pretty at his $78,000 job, and why go for something of valor that only pays about $28,000? Okay, so I said I can't just let the Democrats win. No, sir. So I put my name in the race, and quickly the Republican Party started snooping around. The official people was like, oh no, how did you run for office without talking to us? How you put the risk of the party at jeopardy if you're not behind with us. And we're talking about the suit guys, the collar guys, the fraternity guys, the law school guys. FSU Law School is right next to the Capitol and Andrews 228 and the Governor's Club. I know that party, that frat house, and I'm not part of it. So when they sat me down and said, hey, listen, we'll take care of your commercials. We'll take care of your junk mail. We'll take care of the polling, and we'll put you on a calendar. You just have to be quiet about these issues that you're talking about, and you have to promote what we need you to promote. and you'll win. I said, wow, this is the deal that every person would be like, thank you, you know, God sent me a blessing. My life has changed right now. But no, I prayed on it and I slept on it and I looked at the other Republicans that this fund has promoted. And I didn't like the bills that they put into order. They were made very pro homosexual adoption, very anti family, and it didn't seem like a Republican at all was writing these bills. And I don't want to gossip, but this is factual information. Joe Gruters promoted the most disgusting anti-family bill, and he promoted it as if it was a pro-adoption bill. And so he and I are a different type of brand Republican. He's the establishment. He got funded by this account, and I am the brand that loves America, loves Jesus, is not apologetic, doesn't compromise with evil, and I am funded by grassroots. So why is me just some guy who's been an entrepreneur? I'm a Polish American Texan. My grandfather survived the Holocaust. My dad is a political refugee. Came to this country legally in 1976 for religious liberty. I am a son of a refugee, a second generation legal immigrant. You would think that they're promoting me. Know who has promoted me? Vets for Trump. They've endorsed me. They read me out. They looked at the situation. They looked at the other candidate. They saw the bigger picture. They see the corruption in the area. And they say, you know what? Benjamin has a noble heart, and we believe what he's telling us. And they did not go in bed with the establishment pick. The fund that I told no to went and recruited this lady from Miami, okay, a lifelong Democrat, an outspoken Democrat. We know nothing about her other than she probably voted for Obama and Gillum. She's a lifelong Democrat. She never told us why she's a Republican or when she's a Republican. She's never promoted the president. All we know is she says, I'm a lifelong Democrat and recently I became a Republican. I worked for the city police and my job was internal affairs. So her job was to arrest corrupt police. But she hasn't provided that list of police that she's arrested. So I'm not accusing her. I'm asking her to please provide this public information. Because what we know of 1980s, excuse me for the audio for 2 seconds. By the county. So here comes a truckload of crap, literally, as I'm sharing this story. They recruited this lifelong Democrat, and they're telling everybody that the governor endorsed her. Well, that's a lie. We call the governor's office and we say, can you confirm that you've endorsed her? There's a permission form that when an elected official endorses somebody, they have to file. It should be public information. There's no such thing. They said we can't confirm that. We've heard people whisper, yeah, he said it, but we haven't seen it in writing and we haven't seen a picture of it. She posted a picture of a governor endorsement with her and a stock photo with a guy in a boa, and they posted it on floridadispensaries.com, which is a paid for blog. Then they posted it at Florida Politics, which is a paid for blog. I can pay them $500 and they promote whatever I want. And then because it was on two blogs, the newspaper picked it up as if it was fact. So they manufactured fake news. So I've never ran for office, but already in my first year, I've made all the right enemies. I've upset the establishment. I've upset the fake news manufacturers. I've been interviewed with international TV like you. I've been in The Guardian. They've had a hate piece on me and the Daily Beast. Nazi propaganda literally wrote an article about me in Germany on how I am one of the most feared evangelicals to watch in 2020. And all of this hate about me is stirred from me staying in the middle of the woods with $3,000 to my campaign up against millions. And why are they so angry at me for sharing the truth if I'm irrelevant? And the answer to that is because I'm a threat to their establishment, and they know it.
Gotcha. You mentioned that, I mean, there was a proposal to you that, I mean, if you don't talk about the issues and if you talk about different items, I mean, they will be okay with you. So do you mind, I mean, saying the issues which you are fighting for or running with? Sorry.
Okay, that's a great question. Well, I want to understand why I do this, and it's a duty to God and country. This is a fight for faith, family, and freedom. And there's some single issues that I feel that could really help the wellness of Florida. And these issues will take money from the government and put money in the pockets of family. And they might sound small money here and small money there, but as they're systematically taking away your capital, your power, and your voice and your control, they're doing that by systematically taxing you a little bit more, a little bit more. So I want these monies back, and I don't want these taxes. And I'll tell you examples. Permission. We have the Second Amendment, which gives you the right to defend yourself. It's not the right to go hunting or right to go skeet shooting. It's the right to defend yourself against a tyranny government. And as my grandfather could testify firsthand, once they knocked on his door and says there's a virus, come here to be cleansed. And they sent him to a Nazi camp. Okay. If they had the Second Amendment and the First Amendment to tell everybody on a bullhorn, these people are doing some crazy things, and, you know, maybe we wouldn't have had the Holocaust. Okay. That's the reason why. Okay. So I wanted to say, if you live in Florida, you don't need to pay the state permission to carry a firearm. I have a saying, make America Texas. Okay, I want Florida to be a constitutional open carry. Guns save lives. Okay, and when you have that, then we could have a constitutional state. The second thing I want to do, we have a cartel in Florida that I want to dismantle, and I'm going to become victorious eventually. We have the marijuana cartel, and there's like 4 or 5 families that are allowed to grow and sell and distribute and regulate themselves and overtax and this and that and blah, blah, blah. I don't have to tell you that they're the worst out of all the states, okay? We want to be the best. We want a free Florida. We want to grow Florida. We want a smart Florida.org. I would like Florida to be an open grow state. If you own an acre, you can grow industrial hemp or personal use marijuana. I don't like the term medical marijuana. Medical marijuana says that you have to go lie to a doctor and say, hey, I can't sleep, or I'm divorced and I'm depressed, or blah, 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 and give me weed. Here's $200 and I'll see you in 6 months to pay you another $200. Okay, we don't need that. Okay. I don't like the term medical. It's a banana. Okay, if there is a banana in nature and you eat it, you don't need doctor permission because it's just good for you. Okay, it's also deadly for you because it's in the lethal injection, potassium. Okay, so under that logic, bananas would need a doctor permission. I don't like that I want, if you live in Florida and you have a legal gun, I want to field commission you as a grower because you have the capacity to protect your crop and provide for your family. So I want to enable you. These are type of things that many Republicans are coming along. I have PTSD. I'm pretty tired of stupid dummies. Okay. Marijuana helps veterans. Okay. Also with the cartel, we have a long list of good fathers who can't get work because a little bit of grass. And we'll go back to the hurricane. There's so much roofs that need to be done. There's so many paint jobs. There's so many framing work. But because of Rick Scott being a great Republican and optimizing our FEMA reimbursement programs, we can't hire, because of the insurance, people with a history of grass stains. So although we have like the cartel of lawyers and lobbyists selling marijuana, We also have Bubba and Paco and Pookie in jail, and they can't get work 5 years after their job because of this thing. So I want to expunge people's records. Let my people go. I want to combat human trafficking. This district and where I live is the highest human trafficking numbers in the state. And why are the local politicians that have been there for generations been be silent about it? Why is the school superintendent and school principal, who's now the state senator of the largest district of human trafficking, quiet about it? It's disgusting. There's too many children in custody of Department of Children and Families, and their whole department's model is to come into your home and take your child away from you, and then they go and lose you, and then reform in Department of Children's DCF. We need heavy reform in Department of Families. We need heavy reform in the Agriculture Division, and we are losing this state because we're infiltrated with Satanists, the Masonic Order, and rhinos like you'll never believe since 2014, but much further than that. Keep in mind that the Florida Republican Party is housed at 420 East Jefferson, moving on up, and a building called the George Bush Building. And George Bush, great president, we love him, yada, yada, yada. The 4 presidents before Donald J. Trump were criminals, and they've supported the socialist and globalist movement of Biden. Trump versus Soros. We the people versus the establishment. And it's good versus evil. So 2020 is not a political year, and I wish it was, even though it's 99% political functions and events. 2020 is a spiritual battle, okay? It's a demonic attack on our church and state. And in 2020, Benjamin Alexander Thaddeus John Horbowy, the Benjaminites, are standing ground in church and state and defending faith, family, and freedom. So I welcome anybody to forthecrusades.com and to pray and to pick up the full armor of God and to vote biblical. In Florida, now this show is in India, okay? In Florida, our primary is August 18. This weekend, you'll see me all around, flag waving and this and that. If anybody would like to help contribute to the campaign, you can go to electthevet.com and sign up for a newsletter, and you'll get popped a link to where you can contribute. I have not raised a lot of money, and I'm not trying to raise a lot of money. People tell me, hey, for $500, you can get 3 commercials on the Rush Limbaugh show. And I say, how about I don't do that, and I just live an authentically awesome life and be 100% authentic and genuine in my mission. And news people like you will contribute by interviewing me long form. So I completely appreciate these questions.
No problem. We understand. At the same time, we are in India. Our viewers are in India. Our viewers are in other parts of the country, and also we have viewers in the US too. So we are trying to promote in the US also. So we'll try to see what best we can do in Florida, and especially our constituents, and see whether we can promote this content in our constituency too. So that's one thing. And now coming back to the another hot topic in Florida. Florida has been the tourism dependent state, or I don't say tourism dependent. More the economy is the prime. One of the important factors of the economy is the tourism, and at the same time, the COVID-19 is a big issue all over the world, and Florida has affected a lot with this particular COVID-19. So, what is the particular current situation in the Florida, and how is it being handled in Florida? What do you think of COVID-19 and also the stay-home orders from other states, and how Florida is different, and how is it handling it right now?
I hope my answer doesn't get this video blocked off of YouTube. I've had a video where I gave my opinion of the COVID testing. It had 333,000 views, and then Facebook and YouTube deleted it. The COVID testing, Florida, we are a tourist state. We depend 100% on your tourism tax. We don't have an income tax, so come live in Florida and you enjoy this wonderful Florida and let other people pay for it. That's our business model. Okay, so we need you to visit Florida. That goes to my point. Another thing, real quick side tangent. If we could triple tax tourists for marijuana products, and you can go to an open market like the joint market, I would say for tourists $80 eights and for residents $20. Okay, so we can benefit from this tourist. We need visitors, and this shutdown has been a massive planned demic. I call it a infection, in election infection, and the China communist virus. Now, communism kills, and so I'm more worried about the virus of liberalism than COVID, because I drink my orange juice, I get some exercise. I think I may have come down with it very strongly in December. And I know many other people who feel like they've come down with it and then just survive. So yes, there's all kinds of people who have an investment into fear mongering that are promoting it. I come from a sociological background and a chess player, and what I've witnessed as reverse engineering is social architecture designed by Marxists, and we'll even include the Black Lives Matter in this. This is a Marxist movement. Strategic social architecture, promoting socialism, promoting fear, nature versus man, man versus man, man versus self. Those are the conflicts, okay, that wear at your soul. And now they've weaponized yourself versus yourself, where you're afraid to breathe and greet people, and we've all just become a bunch of little robots looking like we're working in Amazon. I don't like this. This is not what America is about. America is about liberty. It did not say give me liberty or give me a dust mask. It said give me liberty or give me death. And so I have the right to risk my life and be in person and breathe. And if others want to wear a face mask because they're afraid of my air, okay, then they can wear a mask. Live and let live. Okay, I went to Al-Anon and I graduated, and other people's problems is none of my business. And ever since I've taken that strategy of indifference towards other people's agenda, I've been free from the social addictions of worrying what other people think, and I'm living life. I'm 37. I turned 38 at the end of the month, and I'm not going to be fearing air. I think that's ridiculous.
I see your view. I mean, our perspective on this particular topic, but I mean, I understand. I mean, that few people are immune. I mean, they have their immunity is a little better than other people, and they might have contracted it and come over it. I understand that particular point, but at the same time, not everybody as good as you or any other healthy person.
So let's talk about the health aspects, because you're right. Okay, there's numbers and this and that. Yeah, let's talk about it. Florida's been accused of multiple people lying on the numbers. When I worked in the state of Florida, they asked me to lie on a document, and I worked for the director of communications, and I was supposed to say that a dog got bit by a shark 50 feet away versus the truth of 5 feet from the shore. Because if I said 50 feet away, it would lower us from liabilities that we didn't tell people there were sharks in the water. And this was back when the oil well, like a year after the oil rig Deep Horizon, Blue Horizon burst, and it was the worst numbers. And a year later, they said, hey, everybody, the numbers are fine. Well, what we did in the meantime was dock numbers. And as a sociologist coming from FSU, I am an expert of being creative with data, because that's what they teach, to be very selective on data. So we've already have cases in Florida of employees faking numbers. Okay, so I suspect that around the world. Moving on. Where have I seen a single medical examiner saying that Corona died from Corona only? Oh, well, he had stage 4 cancer, but he died of Corona. No, he died of stage 4 cancer. This guy was shot 4 times by police, but tested positive for corona, and they listed him dying of corona. People who had corona and they committed suicide, they're listed as dying from corona. So show me a single corona only death. I think the whole manufactured thing fear is overwhelming, and I think China strategically knew what they were doing. Bill Gates to hell is trying to vaccinate the whole world, and he won't stop until whatever flu virus and chip run by Microsoft is embedded in everybody, killing the whole race and making a bunch of humanoids. So I would also like to bring up the fact that in 2020, Ivanka Trump talked about artificial intelligence. She's only taken two stances on any political issues. One was anti-human trafficking, and one was the role of AI in government. So does the COVID connect to all this? Yes. And AI and all this other stuff and the 5G. We can go all day, and I'm not going to go into these conspiracies. But I'm going to tell you, it is 100% manufactured, and I want nothing to do with it, COVID, and I want everything to do with Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, in whom I trust.
I mean, I see that one. I mean, nobody is dying just because of the COVID, but I mean, at the same time, see what the doctors or the medical professionals are saying that if you have an underlying cause, if you have a COVID, I mean, it's just like, I mean, you have an injury on your hand and you have another injury on another hand, you're kind of
That's
paralyzed.
true for every year.
Yeah, 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 everything. But I
Every
mean,
year you have the flu. And if I have other ailments in my life and the flu comes around every year, then of course. So I don't want to subscribe to their overexcitement of this thing. It to me it's 100% nonsense. And I understand that might make me a radical. And there's Republicans out there who are breeding the mask and they're promoting the mask. And I'm just, to me, it's a symbol of communist compliancy, and I do not wish to participate.
okay, that is your view and that is your perspective. Got it. I understand. I mean, okay, I'll leave it that way. I mean, that's where, and I don't want to get into more of this. So, I mean, we are running for the state senate. I mean, from District 3 in Florida. And another topic is, I mean, the jobs. I mean, economy and the jobs. And you've been in the politics for a while. So, I mean, so what is that? I mean, you are seeing, I mean, the situation right now with the COVID-19, whether it's whatever, maybe the politics behind that one, I don't want to get into it, but the effect is, I mean, the number of jobs being lost. I mean, many people are out of job and they are home, and the money, the people are becoming indirectly poorer. So what
So
is
what
that you
COVID
propose?
did, what COVID did was um, it sped up the inevitable. We were seeing a collapse of useless manpower. We were seeing a collapse of indoctrinated universities. And now that universities and schools are saying to stay home and not come to school, but we're going to still collect the tax, I think we need to focus on the freelance culture that's coming. This is my office. I'm in nature. People are working from home more often, so we're going to need more reliable internet. Where I live, I don't have capacity of broadband. I don't even have the. They give me some dumb DSL. I don't have the ability to run Wi-Fi in my house because all the devices are more data than the hardwire that comes to my house that can compass. So if we put a couple devices and we stream a video or do an online educational portal, the internet freezes. It's bad out here. So we need to focus on getting everybody have access to the internet. And then we have to understand this natural based living. Would disagree that living in a cubicle 9 to 5, 40 hours a week is natural and healthy for the body. I disagree with it. I think you can. I like the Latin American philosophy. They wake up early. They knock out 4 to 6 hours in the morning. Then they do a two hour lunch or a 3 hour time with family, And then they work another 5 to 6 hours in the evening. Okay. They actually work more, live more, and go with the rhythm of life. So with that natural learning, with that natural working, we're going to start seeing people who are less dependent on an employer for work and more, and we're going to see people more focused on their natural talents. Our education failed in America. They're trying to tell everybody this is the average, and then if you're not the average, you're exceptional, and blah, blah, blah. No, there's no such thing as the average. That's looking at people linear, where the relationships with our Lord and our missions are different, our personalities are different. We just have natural different ways of learning. So now we see the downfall of jobs, and we're going to see the uptick of more entrepreneurs. So with tools like this, I'm offering Thursday coaching on Zoom for just random people that I don't know. They can come on my Zoom. I can coach them from going from point A to point B or from point B to point C. And everybody just needs a little, everyone has an idea. They just might need to know the tools on how to develop a e-commerce business, or how to develop sharing my book, or how to develop selling products on Amazon. I think this is going to be popping up. And in my district specifically, we are codependent and indoctrinated with two employers. And these employers don't allow you to participate in the political process because they're the government. So number one employer is government. Number two employer is government schools. And I'm over here saying we need less government and less indoctrination. So this population is not pro that, but that's okay because they can't participate in the political process anyway. They can't donate $1 to me or to my opponent, because if they work for the state, they can't participate. So it's really difficult for this area when you say, hey, I have new ideas that's not part of the establishment that'll help your life, and you need to support me so I can help support you, and they're not allowed to. That's a challenge. One thing that we need in Florida and Tallahassee is a better options than places to work than the government. And we have, hello, Florida, let me introduce to you. We have 11 counties that's full of area that's ready to grow hemp, okay? With that, we can bring local wealth to the area, industrial help. We can help the earth, okay? We can replace plastics and lumbers. Also, hello, we have F-18s, F-22s, F-35s. We have the coolest airplanes in the world, are all based off of our forgotten coast. And guess what? People visit here for the demos and for the air shows. Why? This would be a wonderful location, and I've already deemed it true, that Panama City should be the Space Force Trump camp on two platforms. One, a military Space Force designated in Panama City that's only Space Force and official. Two, we need to have a camp. A camp is for civilians, for youth, for adults that would like to participate in learning and exploring the space in a virtual reality setting. So they can come to our district. And when we bring Space Force based and we bring a Space Force camp, we can implement the camp in a little virtual reality simulator in every county of Florida. We can optimize the brightest minds in the counties to give them the tools for web design, for coding, for media production, for virtual reality. Even if it's simple like Chess Club or Mindscraper, Minecraft, or there's some game where they pretty much play Legos, virtual Legos. I love it. What we need to do is optimize, build the best minds of the world, and attract them to Florida, have the best jobs of the world, working for space. And I am planning to do that. I own the webpage, smartflorida.org. And right now it's just a placeholder. But after this election, I'll have a team. If I win, then I'll have a wonderful team, and we can make this into a wonderful program. If I don't win, I can still work on this program and develop it and then run again later. So I'm 37 years old. The fact that I'm planting seeds of wisdom, sharing with the Florida commerce community, sharing with the world, hey, we have this wonderful place It was kind of like in the movie Scarface in Miami in the 70s. He said, "Hey, my friend, Miami is a big town and a lot of opportunity." Well, North Florida is just ran over with a hurricane. It's full of sex trafficking. It's the highest HIV rate in the area, and it's begging for prosperity. All we need is a patriot. So on Instagram and Twitter, I'm 850 Patriot. I stand for integrity, compassion, prosperity, a duty for God and country, fight for faith, family, freedom, and we the people versus the establishment. If I get Donald Trump reelected and more people know about him in Florida, 2020 will be a success, whether my campaign puts me in the office or not. I am a long shot, and through all, and with God is with us, no one can be against us. I have $3,000 to my campaign versus someone with a political PAC of 78 million, another one of 12 million, and they put in the newspaper that we have a lot more funds. So they got the weaponry to keep the establishment the establishment. It's my job to raise awareness and educate people of the Constitution and show them that the system can work if we work together. And that's what we the people is. So we the people, I'm calling on you to vote August 18, vote biblical. My name is Benjamin Alexander Thaddeus John Horbowy. Horbowy means man with a message from Mount Horeb. My message is thou shalt not kill babies. Benjamin Alexander Thaddeus John Horbowy. I'm named after my father, my grandfather, and my great-grandfather, who were all named after biblical men. So I carried not just the names of myself, but of my fathers and of the names that they were named after. So I walk around with 7 great people with this name. And when I walk into the room, there's usually an 800-pound elephant that I usually brought. So that's where I'm at right now.
Very nice. So if people want to work with you, either on your campaign or they want to attend your the Zoom sessions for the entrepreneurship, so where can they reach out? Can you tell the audience about those things, please?
The Zoom call is 850-565-9333. The password is 420, and it's on Thursdays, 420 to 4:30. It can go longer, Eastern time. If they want to work with me, electthevet.com, floridacrusades.com, smartflorida.org, and Tallahassee Swamp Drainer at gmail.com. I'm very reachable. We're going to start having monthly potlucks. Look at this pretty park that I'm at. Okay, it's just a field. It's a quarter mile from my house. But what's beautiful about this area is it's the darkest nights. So there's a field right here that if you were an astronomer and you want to see like a meteor show or a space satellite, we're 15 minutes from the Tallahassee, so we don't have light pollution. So this is where I'll have monthly potlucks, and with that potlucks, I'm calling for felony. If anybody who has a felony who wishes to get it reviewed for expungement, okay, felony expungement review forms, I will start collecting people because I see there's a lot of good fathers that made a mistake and they can't get work. There's multiple ways to get an expungement. One is the process that they tell you and everyone's scared to do it. The other is to get the governor to sign off on it. So all we need is make a list of people, say we reviewed these people, Governor, you're my friend, or Governor, I helped get you into office, or Governor, blah, 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 please review this. And he signs it and people can get work. So I have to make myself very accessible over the next 2 years and 4 years. One thing I love about our congressman, he's a great voter, and he educates people on why he votes and what he does. What I wish he would do better is what I'm talking about. Be a person of the people, be of the community. Ask the people, what type of government do you want? Do you want one of, for, of, and by the people, or do you want one of the establishment and they speak to you in monologues, at video forms? It should be an open dialogue. It should be like, hey, Benjamin, we don't have access to the internet over here. Hey, Benjamin, this easement is silly and we need to review it because it's a health hazard to, it shouldn't be a hard situation to be able to talk to your local governor. And I'm going to throw the local county commissioner under the bus right now. Christian Dozier never calls back anybody, especially black people. And how come, and she, on her second term, her first day in office, she asked the media, not her assistant, who hates America, by the way, she asked the media, is this a full-time or part-time job? This type of do-nothing politician is what is wrong with the world. If you're in an elected position, you don't have a full-time or part-time job. You have 100% duty to do the job wherever it is. It's not like it's 4:01, I'm going home. No, you live the job. Like in the military, if you're in the military, you're in the military. Even when you're off, you're still in the military. And that's how it should be for elected positions. Another thing I want to throw on the bus, I don't like that lobbyists can go and be make crony laws and then get in the office, mess them up more, and then come out and be lobbyists again, and you have to hire them to navigate their crony laws. So it should be, if you're a lobbyist, you're not allowed to run for office, and if you run for office, you can't be a lobbyist anymore. There's lots of little tweakings that we can do to bring down this establishment. And I so appreciate you giving me the time of day. And I ask everybody to visit me on Instagram and Twitter at 850 Patriot. And if you like what you heard today, give me a tweet and mention 850 Patriot and mention real Donald Trump and say hashtag it's time to buzz Tallahassee. Okay. I'm Big Ben. This is the Big Ben. And I want the president, I'm calling on the president to buzz my district. He says the worst, most corrupt city in the states. Well, Mr. President, you're cleared for a low flyby over the Capitol. We need his presence. We need him to come to Tallahassee and say and show that even the small communities we will drain the swamp. And that's what I'm calling for in 2020, 2022, 2024, 2026, the next 6 years until we make our nation 250 years old. We have a lot of work to do, and part-time patriots won't defeat full-time Democrats.
Thank you very much for your views and perspectives and your appeal to the audience and your constituents. Anything else you want to add? Otherwise, the
only thing I want to add is remember to love.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Mr. Benjamin Horbowy, and we wish you all the best in your whatever job you do and whatever you take up next.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Have a nice rest of the day.
Bye-bye.